What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bird Rights Podcast. Today, we're going to do our Western Conference Finals final score recap. Nuggets win 4-0 in a sweep. The Heat are currently up 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, but we will discuss that more next time once the Heat close that series out, which we fully expect them to do. I'm joined by just Covahey today. And we'll
Hello.
start with just today's game, and I'll let him go first. But the Nuggets take the lead. To take the lead, they take the lead in the late third quarter, and then go on to win 113-111 after hanging on in the fourth. And just what are your initial thoughts on this game?
Well, this game in particular, the first half was definitely won by the Lakers. They were hitting their 3-point shots, and Denver was not. And Jokic wasn't being as assertive as he was in the second half. He seemed to, I don't know, he had a great half, both halves in terms of just getting the ball to his teammates and sharing the wealth. But he seemed to really hit some insane shots like in the second half that are almost like undescribably difficult. And I don't even like they're some of the most insane shots I've seen anyone hit, not to mention him. But yeah, he had a great game once again. Murray was pretty good. I don't have the stats pulled up right now. I probably should. But in terms of the Lakers side, LeBron had one of the best games you could ever imagine from somebody who is like 40 years old at this point. He just seems to keep going and going and going. But will definitely take good advantage of this off season. I'm sure that he's been working his ass off recently, and he just needs some time to get his legs back under him. He's
Might
been
need
banged
foot
up all
surgery.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I hope he gets whatever he needs. Um, let's see. Murray had 25. Gordon had 22. He was hitting his threes today, and he also had 5 assists, which is a little bit more than he normally puts up. Um, yeah, on the Lakers side, AD, he started off really poor. He started to find his groove a little bit. He had 10 free throws, which will definitely help, 9 of 10. Um, but didn't shoot the best in the field. Rui had one of his more worst games overall. Schroeder was pretty poor. D'Lo was he didn't really play, so he's not much of a factor. But yeah, it was a very good game all around. The third quarter was what decided it. I'm pretty sure the Lakers won all of the other quarters. It sounds just like the Heat Celtics game where Miami absolutely destroyed them. And yeah, that basically decided the game.
yeah. LeBron was fantastic. I didn't know he had that in him, but I mean, really, he made his threes today. He was 4 of 7. Um, that'll push you over the edge, right? He had 40 points. You don't if he's playing shooting like he's shooting the rest of the series, and he's got 28 points. Um, but he played fantastic. He clearly it's kind of seemed like he's older, and people are like, oh, he doesn't have the same burst he used to have. Obviously, that's true, but also he he also doesn't have the same burst he had in January. And I think that's a product of the foot injury. Now, he's older, so it's harder to recover from stuff like that. So I don't know if he will. Um, not to, I mean, clearly he's done enough to be still productive and very good. I just mean going forward into next season and stuff. They'll be 39 years old and stuff, but we don't need to get too far into that right now. But I think there's definitely we'll get to kind of the
He
Lakers
just
outlook
missed
at
the
the end
triple
of
double
this.
again.
Yeah,
He's been missing the
yeah,
triple
but
double by like one stat every time.
yeah, he was great today. AD, like you said, started slow. Rui kind of had his first bad game of the series. Not too unexpected. I'm not too, he played 42 minutes for a guy who doesn't play that kind of minutes in the regular season. It's a lot to ask. And he held up defensively. It's a lot to ask him to guard Jokic for half of the game. Um, Reeves played well as he always does. It's actually his worst game of the series, but he was still efficient, 17 points. So you'll take that. Um,
He's
but
a
for
beast.
Denver,
They have no
Jokic kept
choice but to
making
keep him.
yeah. Jokic kept making circus shots. He kept making the right play. Aaron Gordon, they needed that game from him really bad. It looked like Denver kind of came out low energy, and Gordon was hitting threes, and they kind of kept him in it for a little while. And this
Yeah,
roster, I mean, the whole starting five, they all played about 40 minutes. Jokic played 45. Murray played 43. Then you're getting 30 from Jokic, 25 from Murray, 13 from KCP, 15 from Porter. Porter was pretty bad. He was inefficient, but, you know, he's going to have one of those every once in a while. And then 22 from Gordon. That is the best starting five in basketball. And they took care of business against the
And you have Bruce
Lakers.
Brown off the bench as well.
But yeah, and Bruce Brown's their one super reliable bench player. And then
They don't have anyone else at all.
they get Jeff Green to run around and do nothing for 10 minutes a game. That's what
And
Jeff
be a
Green's
minus
there
12
for.
today.
Yeah.
Minus 12. Then Jokic is off the floor for 3 minutes, and yeah.
Yeah. I don't have on this game in particular, it kind of just went how the whole series went. So it's kind of a little microcosm of what the series was. And I mean, we got 10 minutes from Tristan Thompson. That was interesting. But he actually
He
didn't
wasn't
even
even
do too
hard.
bad. Yeah, it was all right. But this series was one of those, it's one of those, there's no such thing as a close sweep, but all of the games were competitive. If people remember that Celtics Nets series from last season where the Nets lost that first game on that Tatum buzzer beater layup, and then all of these games came down to the last few minutes, and Boston just kept prevailing. That's kind of what this was. 3 of these games were coin flip games with 2 minutes left. One of them was the Lakers had the big lead in the third quarter. I'm talking about game 3, not this one. They had a big lead in the third quarter. This one, Denver kind of pulled away in game 3, but the Lakers had control of that one and let it go. And so I think the teams were a little more evenly matched than a sweep would indicate, but I certainly think you play this series over 10 times, Denver wins the series 8 or 9 of the times. They're clearly the better team. Jokic is clearly the best player in the series, and Murray played like, Murray. I don't know if he played better than LeBron or Davis, but he played up to the level of all the rest of those guys. That would be the worry, is that the second guy on Denver isn't quite the same level of players, LeBron and AD, but Murray played like that level for the whole series. So massive credit to him, and they're gonna go to the finals looking to play probably Miami. I'm gonna think it's safe to assume it's gonna be Miami, even if ESPN Analytics thinks they have a 40% chance of making it. And it's gonna
I think
be
you're right.
it's gonna be very difficult for them to match up. Miami, that is, with this Denver lineup, but we'll get to that matchup later. But for now, hell of a performance from Denver. I'm wildly impressed. Very sad for my Lakers, but they were clearly outclassed. They've been, the Lakers had been stepping on the gas for the last 3 months trying to get into the playoffs, and it clearly caught up to them. They looked out of gas at times in this series. D'Angelo Russell was unplayable. And there's some off-season questions which we can get into a little bit here. If you have, after we finish up on what we have to say about the Nuggets, I'll let you finish up here. If you have any final thoughts or Jokic thoughts on him winning the conference finals MVP here.
Yeah, so one thing I want to say on Jokic that I feel like people are starting to realize a bit more, but his conditioning is like very, very, very good. Like he gets the rebound, runs the floor, like doesn't really ever look like he looks gassed, but at the same time he's always putting in the effort that's needed. He's moving around a lot on offense. He touches the ball essentially every single possession, which most guys can't really say. Even LeBron was, obviously he's 40, but there were possessions in the third quarter where he was just not even touching the ball, which was definitely part of the reason why the Lakers lost this game. Like they were letting the role players do too much work. But we can talk about Jokic just one little bit to end. Like he is definitely solidifying himself as one of the best players to ever play the game, one of the best big men we ever seen. Doesn't really have any glaring weaknesses on offense, especially, but even on defense, he's been holding his own decently enough to where he's not just like run pick and roll, like get spam, get abused. Even with 5 fouls, he was doing enough around the rim to to get people were just abusing him. But on offense, he really just does it all. He is able to shoot from anywhere, post you up, and take advantage of mismatches. And we all saw some of the beautiful passes he was making to his teammates tonight that were getting them very easy looks like he does every night. And yeah, I think the debate, maybe the debate for best player in the world isn't finished, but best center in the world has been finished all playoff run. Um, I didn't even see this like Jokic having this sort of generational run here that is definitely solidifying himself as just an incredible talent.
Yeah, it's I think what's the craziest part about what Jokic has done this playoffs, This was his worst series. Not that he was amazing, but it was his worst series of the first three because of how generational he was the first few. And this is the best defensive team he's played by a mile, and it didn't really matter. He still cooked them. He wasn't shooting as well because Anthony Davis and LeBron and Rui are big bodies and strong defenders that were giving him more problems than the other people. And it still didn't really matter. He's still wildly efficient. Even when he wasn't even when he was inefficient, he was still 11 of 24 is inefficient for him, but that's not. It's fine. It's a playoffs. You'll live with that every day of the week. That's totally acceptable efficiency for your best player playing the entire game.
Yep.
I don't think there's a center in shouting distance. The only player I'd argue has a case against him is Giannis, because it's kind of a similar path to what happened to Giannis a few years ago when he got his 2 MVPs. Then they didn't give it to him because of the playoff stuff, and then he went to win the finals. I think we're kind of seeing similar situation go down here. I think Jokic is the best player in the world, and he's played like that all series. And I think the biggest way you can show how ridiculous Jokic is if you told the Lakers coaching staff after game one, when he had whatever he had in game one, like 34, 21, and 15, something crazy. If you told them, oh, Jokic is going to shoot like 48% from the field, average 25, 14, and 9 for the rest of the series, they'd be like, we'll take it. We'll take it, or whatever it was. Number 29, whatever. I don't know exactly what the numbers were.
Best
But
numbers
for
in the
the
NBA.
Yeah, exactly. For the if he torched them the last 3 games, and the Lakers, honestly, I can honestly say, I think they did about as good a job as you can do against Jokic in those last 3 games. They were forcing him into some tough shots. Some of those ridiculous circus shots, some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. We saw some crazy shots in this series from Jokic, from Murray. LeBron made a pass today. He threw a lob that went into the basket. That was hilarious.
That was
Yeah,
hilarious.
but he's the best player in the world. I don't know if I've mentioned this earlier, but this Denver team feels Spursy to me, with the one centerpiece who's the best player in the world, right? Duncan was the best player in the world for a good stretch there. I know a lot of people would say Kobe for the whole time from 04 to 2007, 8, 9, or whatever. Whenever you think LeBron took that title, I think Duncan had it for most of that time because, Duncan's on the team. You're winning 55 games no matter what. And it's kind of a similar spot where Jokic. And then you have the secondary players where it's like, Tony Parker wasn't this perennial all-star. He made 5 in his career, but come playoff time, he really shows up. Got a similar thing with Murray. All these really good defenders, Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon. I don't need to do all of it, but they have similar built teams where it's all built around the star. No, clear, other all NBA talent. Obviously Murray's the second best player. Obviously Parker was the second best player for those 04, 07 titles. But it was Jokic and that whole thing built around them like it was built around Duncan. And I think Denver's going to win the title this year. And I think we could be seeing a few Denver titles in the next few years. The whole team's young. Not young, but they're all in their prime. KCP's 29, Jokic is 28 or 29. Murray's 27. Gordon's like 28. Porter's like 24, 23 or something. And then hopefully they can keep Bruce Brown and they'll expand the roster. But yeah, they got a bright future.
If they, they really only need to add, like I've been saying it for a while. Obviously it hasn't held them back, but if they just had 1 or 2 more like Bruce
Competent
Brown-ish
bench players.
Players, they would.
I don't even think it needs to
almost
be
be
Bruce
unstoppable.
Brown. Bruce Brown's a really high level bench player.
Okay,
I
maybe not
think,
even him. Like worse than that.
yeah, I don't know. Someone like
If
the
they had a
Lakers have
real backup
Schroeder.
center, that'd be decent.
Yeah, they need Tristan Thompson is what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan Thompson was the 3rd best center in this series. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
It's true. All right.
Yeah.
But Denver's moving on to the NBA Finals. Since I'm a Lakers fan, I do want to spend a little bit of time looking ahead for them. Not too much. I'm sure I'll make a video on exactly what their options are. I want to say good season, all things considered, considering where they were. The trades, I don't even think the trades helped them as much as what they brought in. The best trade was the Rui trade. Vando, D'Lo, and Beasley didn't end up helping them too much in the playoffs. But what really helped from the Westbrook trade was getting Westbrook out of there. and bringing in room for Austin Reeves to thrive. That was the revelation, was the ball in his hands, because he's clearly their third best player. There's a few paths the Lakers could go this offseason. I'm hoping what they do is re-sign Rui, re-sign Reeves, re-sign Russell at a fairish deal and keep that asset, because you don't want to lose the asset. Pretty much bring back everyone, and then try and flip that Beasley contract and or that Bamba contract with the 17th pick for something that can be in the rotation, maybe a guy like Buddy Hield, or if Indiana's willing to move Turner for a first round pick plus a contract or whatever. I think it'd be interesting. You could put Turner next to Davis and play that way. But I do think there are ways to go that make a lot of sense to improve around the margins. This is clearly a good team. They're in the Western Conference Finals for a reason. AD looked healthy, and I don't think it's a coincidence AD and LeBron kind of stayed the most healthy now that Russ is gone. Not that Russ was getting them injured, but they were playing so many close games in the regular season and so many minutes because Russ was keeping them in games with the Pistons that they couldn't rest in games, and that's a big deal for those guys. But there's ways to improve around the margins and make this a better team that can seriously contend next year. Now, what they shouldn't do, and I'm afraid they will do, is gut the thing for Kyrie Irving. There's two paths to Kyrie Irving. One path is get to almost max cap space. You can't go to full, but you can have, if you keep Davis, LeBron, Vanderbilt, and Austin Reeves cap hold, and then you waive Beasley, waive Bamba, let Schroeder walk, or maybe you keep him on the mid-level or whatever. You can get to about 40 in cap space and you could sign him. Or you might be able to keep Rui as well if you do some type of sign-in trade. But even then, you're looking at losing Bamba and Beasley. And the problem with losing Bamba and Beasley isn't them as players. It's the fact that those are movable contracts that you could bring in another player. You'd be losing Walker. You'd be losing Schroeder. You'd be losing Russell. You'd be losing probably Rui, like I said. This is a terrible idea, considering Kyrie, LeBron, and AD will not play 70 games next year, and you're going to be struggling to make the playoffs again. That said, the Lakers cannot help themselves sometimes, and I am terrified that's the plan, that the plan is go get Kyrie. I hope it's not, but I think that might be the idea. So
They're
hopefully I'm
obsessed with
wrong
blowing
there.
up their best rosters.
Yeah.
They have their best, most successful teams since LeBron got there, and then they're like, let's just like try something new.
Given, like, I don't even
Russell
know that.
Westbrook.
Given, obviously you can't give up Reeves, because I don't know. I think Reeves is a better asset than Kyrie right now. But even like, I don't know that, like, Rui's an ascending player who looked really good for them. I don't know that. What did Kyrie as a trade piece, not a free agent, got traded for Dorian Finney-Smith and a pick. Like, I don't know that Rui in a pick is like, that's better. The Mavs would be upgrading. So I really hope that's not the direction they go. But I love LeBron, but I think he might want that. He might want the Kyrie way, and hopefully the Lakers can resist. But I'm sure I'll have a video going in depth and all the paths there. But I'm nervous about it.
It
Hopefully
would be
they
very
don't mess up
unwise.
again.
Rob
It would be
Pelinka
very
is a very
unwise.
questionable man.
Yeah.
Sometimes he had a good trade,
Yeah.
but he fucked them in the beginning.
Yeah.
LeBron
The
will
only
do
way I
a
even
job to
consider a
recruit.
Kyrie thing is if you can keep Reeves and Rui, but I don't know, man. I just hope it doesn't happen. That's where I'm at. But the rumors are swirling. They always will with a team like that. But I think that pretty much wraps it up here. Denver's looking good. They're going to the finals. I think they're both of our picks to win the finals. We'll have a finals preview out sometime in the near future, because we're going to have a full week off pretty much, assuming Miami closes this thing out in 5 or 6. Sorry, not 4 or 5. But yeah, Denver looks super legit. A lot
Absolutely.
of fun to watch that team this series. Even if they were against my team, it was still enjoyable to watch. I don't have any vendettas against Denver like I do against Golden State or Boston or anything like that. So I was able to at least enjoy some of it, and I'll definitely be able to enjoy them next series. I don't have any strong opinions on Miami or Denver. just be able to enjoy some good basketball. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that wraps it up.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.